The galaxy loved only one thing more than war: the hunt. For thousands of years, the richest alien empires gathered once every decade for a single event. It was not a tournament. It was not a sport. It was an execution, broadcast live across thousands of worlds. Every seat inside the massive orbital arena was filled. Billions more watched from their homes. The audience did not cheer for heroes. They cheered for death. Only one rule existed: the prey must never escape. Every hunt ended the same way. The hunters always won. Boys, the prey never survived longer than 3 days. Sometimes they lasted only a few hours. This year's prize was the largest in history: 100 billion galactic credits. Enough to buy a moon. Enough to build an army. Enough to make any hunter famous forever. The announcer floated above the arena. His metallic voice echoed across the stars. Welcome to the Grand Galactic Hunt. The crowd exploded with excitement. Gigantic holograms appeared in space. Thousands of terrifying creatures flashed across the screens. Each one had been hunted before. Each one had died. The final image appeared. A single human. Silence spread across the arena. Laughter. The crowd laughed so hard that the stadium shook. A human? They couldn't find anything stronger? This will be the shortest hunt ever. The commentators laughed with them. According to our records, humans possess no natural claws. No venom. No armored skin. No enhanced vision. No biological weapons. They are physically inferior to dozens of known species. Another commentator smiled. This may become the fastest victory in hunt history. The betting markets exploded. Almost everyone placed their money on the hunters. The odds against the human became almost impossible. But against over 400 elite hunters. The greatest killers from every corner of the galaxy. Each one had survived impossible missions. Each one had trophies taken from monsters capable of destroying cities. Many had never lost a hunt. Among them stood names feared across the stars: the Iron Fang, the Bone Queen, the Shadow Stalker, the Crimson Giant, the Void Predator. Every one of them smiled when they saw the human. Easy money, easy fame, easy victory. Deep beneath the arena, inside a cold steel chamber, the human quietly opened his eyes. No panic, no fear, no anger. He simply looked around the room. A robotic voice spoke. Contestant number 1. You have been selected as today's prey. You will receive a 60-second head start. After that, the hunt begins. The man slowly stood. His clothes were simple: dark combat pants, a worn tactical jacket, old military boots. Nothing expensive. Nothing impressive. He looked completely ordinary. One of the guards laughed. Poor human. Another guard shook his head. I almost feel sorry for him. The human looked at both guards. He smiled. Not a nervous smile. Not a desperate smile. It was calm. Almost confident. The guards suddenly stopped laughing. For a brief moment, neither of them understood why. The chamber doors opened with a loud metallic sound. Beyond them waited an entire planet. Black forests stretched beyond the horizon. Massive mountains touched dark clouds. Ancient ruins disappeared beneath giant trees. The air itself felt alive. This world had a name: Velker Prime. Even monsters feared this place. Thousands of deadly species hunted one another every night. No civilization had ever managed to colonize it. No army had ever conquered it. The perfect hunting ground. The countdown appeared across every screen in the galaxy. 60. The human took one step forward. 59. He looked toward the endless forest. 58. A strange breeze moved through the trees. Birds suddenly flew away. Not toward the human. Away from something deeper inside the forest. The human noticed. He quietly whispered, "So, they're awake." Without looking back, he walked into the darkness. The countdown continued. The hunters smiled. The audience celebrated. Billions believed they were about to witness the easiest hunt in history. None of them realized The most dangerous creature on Velker Prime was not waiting inside the forest. He had just walked into it. The countdown reached 0. A deafening siren echoed across Velker Prime. The hunt had officially begun. 400 elite hunters rushed into the forest from different directions. Jetpacks roared. Hoverbikes screamed above the trees. Invisible scouts disappeared into the shadows. Massive alien beasts were released to track the human scent. The audience erupted with excitement. This won't last an hour. Who's going to claim the prize first? I bet on Iron Fong. No. Shadow Stalker will kill him. Across the galaxy, billions watched the live broadcast. Every hunter wore a combat camera. Every kill would be seen in real time. Deep inside the forest, the human walked slowly. He never ran. He never looked behind him. He simply observed. Broken branches. Fresh claw marks. The direction of the wind. Small footprints hidden beneath wet leaves. His eyes missed nothing. Suddenly, he stopped. Something was wrong. The forest had become silent. No birds. No insects. Not even the sound of the wind. A low growl echoed through the darkness. The ground vibrated. From behind the giant trees, a monster slowly emerged. It stood nearly 15 feet tall. Its body looked like a terrifying mix of a tiger, a wolf, and an armored dinosaur. Black scales covered its shoulders. Long bone spikes ran down its back. Its glowing amber eyes never blinked. The commentators shouted excitedly. A Deathclaw Rex. Incredible. Even elite hunters avoid these creatures. The human is finished already. The beast lowered its head. Every muscle tightened. It charged. The earth exploded beneath its feet. The audience screamed. This is it. The human didn't move. 20 meters. 10. At the last possible second, he stepped sideways. The enormous beast crashed into an ancient stone pillar. The impact shook the entire valley. Dust filled the air. The monster roared in pain. The human calmly picked up a broken spear lying beside the ruins. It looked ancient. Its blade was chipped. Almost useless. The commentators laughed. Does he really think that stick will help? The Deathclaw Rex attacked again. This time faster. Its claws sliced through the air. The human ducked, rolled beneath its body, and drove the broken spear into a small gap beneath its armored neck. The monster screamed. It stumbled backward, but it was far from dead. Instead of attacking again, it froze. Its glowing eyes stared directly at the human. The human slowly removed the spear. He did something no one expected. He stepped back. He lowered his weapon. He whispered quietly, "I'm not your enemy." The audience burst into laughter. He's talking to it? He's lost his mind. The Deathclaw Rex growled, but didn't attack. Seconds passed. Neither moved. The monster slowly turned around and disappeared into the forest. Silence. Absolute silence. Even the commentators couldn't explain what had happened. Did it leave? It had the perfect chance to kill him. Something about that encounter felt wrong. Miles away, Iron Fong smiled as he studied fresh footprints. So, I found you. He activated his wrist scanner. A red signal appeared. Target located. Distance, 800 meters. Iron Fong grinned. The prize is mine. He sprinted through the forest. Branches snapped behind him. His heavy armor crushed everything in his path. Suddenly, he noticed something strange. The trees around him were covered with deep claw marks. Fresh claw marks. Huge ones. Much larger than the Deathclaw Rex. He slowed down. His instinct screamed. Too late. A massive shadow moved above him. Iron Fong looked up. Nothing. He looked down again. One of his squad members had vanished. No scream. No blood. Nothing. Only broken leaves. His heartbeat accelerated. Show yourself. No answer. Another hunter disappeared. The live audience watched in confusion. What is happening? Where did he go? Iron Fong fired his plasma cannon into the trees. The explosion lit up the forest. For a brief second, A pair of enormous glowing eyes appeared between the branches. Watching. Waiting. Then they vanished. Iron Fang had hunted monsters for 40 years. For the first time, he felt fear. Far away, the human quietly stood on a rocky cliff. He looked toward the distant explosions. He closed his eyes, then softly said, "They ignored the warning. They entered its territory." The wind carried another terrifying roar across the valley. This one was far larger than anything the audience had heard before. Inside the broadcast control room, every technician froze. One message suddenly appeared across every monitoring screen. Warning: unknown life form detected. Species not found in galactic database. The commentators stopped speaking. Across billions of homes, no one blinked. For the first time in the history of the Grand Galactic Hunt, the hunters were no longer the only predators on the planet. The control room fell silent. Red warning lights flashed across every monitor. One technician checked the planetary scanners again. Nothing. No thermal signature. No DNA match. No known species. The computer repeated the same message. Unknown life form detected. Threat level unmeasurable. The chief scientist frowned. That's impossible. Our database contains every dangerous creature in the galaxy. Another scientist whispered that whatever this is, it has never been seen before. Deep inside the forest, Iron Fang stood perfectly still. His breathing became slower. He had survived hundreds of hunts. He knew one rule. When the forest becomes quiet, something is hunting you. A branch snapped. Turned. Nothing. Another sound came from behind him. Still nothing. His helmet scanner searched every direction. No target. No movement. No heat. His communicator came alive. "Captain." It was one of his hunters. "I found the human." Iron Fang smiled. "Keep your distance. I'm coming." The transmission suddenly turned into screaming. No. What is that?" A terrible roar shook the entire forest. Silence. The signal disappeared. Iron Fang ran toward the location. 3 minutes later, he stopped. The ground was destroyed. Huge trees had been ripped from their roots. Deep claw marks covered the rocks. But there were no bodies. No blood. No weapons. The hunters had simply vanished. Iron Fang had never seen anything like it. High above the planet, the audience laughed nervously. This must be part of the show. The organizers are making it dramatic. Another viewer wasn't smiling. If that's true, then where are the bodies? No one had an answer. Meanwhile, the human continued walking. He reached an ancient stone bridge crossing a deep canyon. The bridge was thousands of years old. Half of it had already collapsed. He stopped in the middle. He sat down. As if he were waiting. Minutes passed. The wind carried distant footsteps. 1, 2, 5. 10 hunters emerged from the trees. Their leader smiled. A tall reptilian warrior named Shadow Stalker. Unlike Iron Fang, Shadow Stalker never underestimated anyone. He aimed his plasma rifle. "You've caused enough trouble, human. Stand up slowly." The human didn't move. Shadow Stalker narrowed his eyes. "You don't seem afraid." The human finally spoke. "I'm not afraid of you." One hunter laughed. "You should be." The human slowly looked toward the dark canyon below. "No. You should." The hunters looked at each other, then laughed. Shadow Stalker stepped forward. "I've hunted monsters across 17 worlds. There is nothing on this planet that scares me." The human quietly replied, "That's exactly what the last civilization said." For 1 second, nobody spoke. The bridge trembled. A small stone rolled into the canyon. Something moved below. A deep breathing sound echoed upward. One hunter looked over the edge. "I can't see anything." The human stood up. Very calmly. "You have 10 seconds. Shadow Stalker frowned. "For what?" The human turned away. "To run." The hunters burst into laughter. One of them grabbed the human's shoulder. "You aren't going anywhere." The human looked at his hand. Without using force, He gently removed it. He smiled. Too late. A thunderous roar exploded from beneath the canyon. The bridge shook violently. Massive cracks raced across the ancient stone. The hunters lost their balance. A gigantic creature burst out of the darkness. It was larger than a battleship. Black armor covered its body like living stone. 4 glowing crimson eyes stared at the hunters. Its mouth unfolded into rows of endless teeth. The audience screamed. The commentators forgot how to speak. The creature wasn't attacking wildly. It ignored the human completely. Instead, it looked directly at the hunters, as if it already knew why they were there. Shadow Stalker fired his plasma rifle. The blast hit the monster's chest. Nothing happened. Another hunter launched a missile. The explosion covered the bridge in fire. When the smoke cleared, the creature hadn't moved an inch. It slowly opened its mouth. One deafening roar echoed across Velker Prime. Every bird in the forest took flight. Even distant predators began running away. Panic spread instantly. Retreat! Shadow Stalker shouted, but the bridge collapsed beneath them. Hunters fell into the canyon. Others tried to fly away. The creature struck only once. Its massive tail smashed through the air. Hoverbikes exploded. Jetpacks failed. The survivors scattered in every direction. The live broadcast became chaos. Screams. Static. Broken camera feeds. One by one, the hunter's signals disappeared. Above the canyon, the human quietly watched. His face showed no surprise. Only sadness. He whispered, "I warned you." Then he turned and disappeared into the forest. Back inside the control room, a trembling technician stared at the casualty board. The number of active hunters had dropped from 400 to 327 in less than a single day. No prey in the history of the Grand Galactic Hunt had ever survived this long. But something far more terrifying had happened. For the first time, the galaxy's greatest hunters were begging for extraction. Panic spread across the command center. Emergency alarms echoed through the orbital station. One message kept appearing on every screen. Extraction request received. Then another. And another. Within minutes, more than 70 elite hunters requested immediate evacuation. The audience couldn't believe it. These were the warriors who had defeated planetary monsters. They had never surrendered. Not once. Now, they were begging to leave. The hunt master slammed his fist onto the control table. No! The hunt never ends early. A nervous officer looked at him. "Sir, we've already lost 73 hunters." The hunt master didn't even blink. "The contract is clear. No extraction until the prey is dead." The officer swallowed. "But sir, what if the hunters become extinct first?" The room fell silent. Meanwhile, the human continued deeper into Velker Prime. He wasn't searching for food. He wasn't looking for shelter. He was following old memories. The forest slowly changed. The black trees became taller. Strange glowing flowers covered the ground. Ancient stone statues appeared beneath thick vines. Each statue showed a human warrior. Not aliens. Humans. One young scientist watching the live feed frowned. "That's impossible. There has never been a human civilization on this planet." An elderly historian slowly stood up. His hands were shaking. "I've seen those symbols before." Everyone turned toward him. "They're over 1,000 years old. But every record about them was destroyed." The hunt master stared at him. "What are you talking about?" The old historian took a deep breath, then quietly spoke. "There was once a secret military project." The room became silent. 300 years ago, the Galactic Council feared humanity. They believed humans learned too quickly. They adapted faster than any known species. So they secretly exiled a group of human soldiers to Velker Prime. The audience gasped. They expected the planet to kill them. It didn't. It changed them. Deep inside the ruins, the humans stopped before a massive stone gate. On its surface, one sentence was carved in ancient English. "Only those who protect life may enter." He gently placed his hand on the stone. Nothing happened. The ground trembled. Golden light spread across the ancient symbols. The giant gate slowly opened. The audience watched in complete silence. No one had ever discovered these ruins. Not in thousands of years. Inside, there were no weapons. No treasure. Only thousands of names, carved into black stone walls. Every name was human. The human quietly walked among them. His expression became heavy. He finally stopped before one final monument. He gently brushed away centuries of dust. The inscription read, "First human colony. All gave their lives, so humanity could survive." He lowered his head. For several seconds, he said nothing. Then he whispered, "I'm home." Across the galaxy, millions of viewers stopped breathing. This wasn't a hunting ground. It had once been a human world. Far away, Iron Fang finally caught up with the human. His armor was damaged. His face was covered with blood. Only 4 members of his original squad remained alive. He raised his plasma cannon. "Don't move." The human slowly turned. Iron Fang's voice shook. "I've been hunting you for 2 days. I've watched monsters ignore you. I've watched them attack us instead." He stepped closer. "What are you?" The human looked directly into his eyes. "I'm exactly what you thought I was. A human." Iron Fang shouted. "Stop lying. No ordinary human can survive this planet." The human remained calm. "No. But a human who respects this planet can." Iron Fang frowned. "What does that mean?" The human looked toward the forest. "They don't attack because they're hungry. They attack because you invaded their home." At that exact moment, a small creature slowly emerged from the bushes. It looked like a young version of the giant beast from the canyon. Instead of attacking, it walked to the human. The little creature gently rubbed its head against his arm, like a loyal animal greeting an old friend. Iron Fang froze. His weapon slowly lowered. More creatures appeared. 10 dozens. Massive predators surrounded the ruins. None of them attacked. None of them growled. They simply stood beside the human, watching, protecting. For the first time, Iron Fang understood the horrifying truth. The galaxy had never released one human into a planet full of monsters. They had released hundreds of hunters into the home of the only man the monsters considered family. Behind the trees, a pair of enormous golden eyes slowly opened. A deep, ancient voice echoed through the forest. "Guardian, you have returned." The ancient voice echoed across the valley. "Guardian, you have returned." Every monster surrounding the ruins lowered its head. Even the giant beasts that had terrified the galaxy showed respect. The human slowly turned toward the forest. Heavy footsteps shook the ground. The trees bent aside. A colossal creature emerged from the darkness. It was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Nearly 100 feet tall. Its body was covered in black stone-like armor. Massive silver horns curved backward from its head. Ancient battle scars covered its chest. Its golden eyes held wisdom, not rage. The entire galaxy watched in silence. The chief scientist whispered, "My God, that creature is older than the Galactic Council itself." The Hunt Master clenched his fists. "No, this isn't possible." The giant beast stopped in front of the human. To everyone's shock, it bowed. Not to an emperor, not to a king, to a human. The audience exploded. Why is it bowing? Who is that human? What is going on? The human gently placed his hand on the giant creature's head. "It's good to see you again, my old friend." The ancient beast closed its eyes. "We thought you would never return." The human smiled sadly. "I promised I would." High above the planet, the Hunt Master's face turned pale. "Enough." He slammed both hands on the control console. "I don't care what those creatures are. Kill everything." An officer looked at him in horror. "Sir, there are still hundreds of hunters on the surface." I said, "Kill everything." Within seconds, the orbital station came alive. Massive planetary cannons rotated toward Velker Prime. Nuclear plasma missiles armed themselves. The audience gasped. They're going to destroy the entire planet. The Huntmaster smiled coldly. If I can't have the prize, no one will. Deep below, the human looked toward the sky. He had already seen them. Bright lights appeared above the clouds. The first missiles entered the atmosphere. The ancient beast raised its head. They have broken the ancient law. The human nodded. They always do. He slowly stepped onto a massive rock. Every monster in the valley looked at him. There were hundreds. No, thousands. Flying predators circled overhead. Armored beasts emerged from caves. Gigantic creatures rose from the rivers. Even the forest itself seemed alive. The human took a deep breath, then spoke only 3 words. Protect our home. The response came instantly. Thousands of monsters roared together. The sound shook mountains. Across the galaxy, millions of viewers covered their ears. The war had begun. The first plasma missile struck. Before it reached the ground, a flying beast intercepted it. The explosion lit up the sky. A second missile followed. Another monster sacrificed itself. Then dozens more. The sky became a battlefield. Fire. Explosions. The orbital station continued firing. But Velker Prime fought back. Massive creatures leaped impossible heights. Some smashed missiles apart with their tails. Others shielded smaller creatures with their own bodies. The audience watched in disbelief. The monsters weren't fighting for survival. They were fighting for each other. Iron Fong stood among the ruins. He looked at the human, then at the Huntmaster's fleet. For the first time in his life, he threw his weapon onto the ground. I'm done hunting. One by one, the remaining hunters followed. Plasma rifles hit the ground. Helmets came off. No one wanted the prize anymore. Iron Fong walked toward the human. I spent my entire life believing strength meant killing. I was wrong. The human looked at him. Strength means knowing what is worth protecting. Iron Fong lowered his head. Tell me what to do. The human pointed toward the frightened young creatures hiding behind the ruins. Help them. Without hesitation, the galaxy's deadliest hunters formed a defensive line. Not against the monsters. Beside them, predators and hunters, fighting together. Above the planet, the Huntmaster screamed in fury. Traitors! He activated the station's final weapon, the Starbreaker cannon. One shot. Enough to erase an entire continent. Every officer stared at him. If you fire that, the planet dies. The Huntmaster smiled. So does the human. The enormous cannon began charging. Energy flooded through the station. The stars themselves seemed to dim. Deep below, the human slowly looked up. His calm expression disappeared. For the first time, he realized this wasn't a hunt anymore. It was an extinction. He quietly whispered, "Then I have no choice." The ancient beast looked at him. You cannot use that power again. The human closed his eyes. If I don't, there won't be a home left to protect. A blinding blue light slowly began glowing beneath his skin. The ground trembled. The air itself started to crack. Across every screen in the galaxy, the human's life signs suddenly changed. The computer displayed a message no one understood. Warning. Genetic limiter removed. Species classification updated. Then the screen went black. The warning disappeared. Every screen across the galaxy went black. For 3 long seconds, no one saw anything. The broadcast returned. The audience gasped. The human was no longer standing where he had been. He was floating, hundreds of feet above Velker Prime. Blue energy surrounded his body like living lightning. His eyes glowed with a calm golden light. The wind itself seemed to obey him. The computer finally spoke. Genetic limiter removed. Original human DNA verified. Classification updated. Planetary guardian. Silence. The Huntmaster stared at the screen. No. That race was erased. The old historian slowly shook his head. No. They were hidden. 300 years earlier, the first humans sent to Velker Prime had not died. They had adapted, not by becoming monsters, but by learning to live beside them. Generation after generation, they protected the forests. They protected the rivers. They protected every living creature. In return, the planet accepted them. When the Galactic Council discovered the truth, they buried every record. They erased every document. They wanted the galaxy to believe humans had always been weak, because the truth was terrifying. When humans stopped fighting nature, nature fought beside humans. Back in the present, the Starbreaker cannon reached full power. The Hunt Master smiled. Fire! A beam brighter than a sun exploded toward the planet. The audience screamed. No living creature could survive that weapon. The human slowly raised one hand. He didn't shout. He didn't attack. He simply whispered, "Not today." The ancient beast roared. Every monster on Velker Prime roared with it. The forests came alive. The mountains trembled. Golden energy rose from every tree, every river, every creature. It flowed toward the human. One by one, thousands of glowing streams merged into his body. He wasn't taking their strength. They were giving it willingly. The beam struck. The entire galaxy expected the planet to disappear. Instead, a wall of golden light appeared. The Starbreaker cannon slammed into it. For a moment, nothing moved. The cracks spread across the beam itself. The impossible happened. The attack shattered. Millions of glowing fragments scattered harmlessly across the sky like falling stars. The audience stood in complete silence. No weapon had ever stopped the Starbreaker cannon. Until now. Inside the orbital station, warning sirens screamed. Core overload. Energy feedback. The Hunt Master tried to stop the system. Too late. The beam reflected back toward the station. His eyes widened. No! The explosion lit up the sky. The station broke apart. Escape pods shot into space. The Hunt Master never escaped. The Grand Galactic Hunt ended forever. Days later, representatives from every major civilization arrived above Velker Prime. This time, no warships pointed their weapons at the planet. Only peaceful diplomatic vessels remained. Iron Fang stepped forward. He removed his armor and placed it on the ground. A hunter's greatest honor. He bowed. "I came here to kill. You taught me how to protect." One by one, the remaining hunters followed. The galaxy's greatest warriors bowed before the human. Not because he was stronger, because he had shown them a better way. The human looked at them. "If you truly want peace, leave this world untouched. It does not belong to humanity. It does not belong to the galaxy. It belongs to those who protect it." Every leader agreed. Velker Prime was declared a protected world. No hunting, no mining, no colonies, no weapons, ever again. Years later, children across the galaxy learned about the day the hunt ended. Not as a story of monsters, not as a story of war, but as the day one human reminded the entire galaxy that the strongest warrior is not the one who destroys life. It is the one who protects it. Deep inside the forest, the human stood beside the ancient beast. The old guardian smiled. They finally understand. The human looked toward the stars. Some do, but others will forget. The ancient beast laughed softly. Then we'll remind them. The camera slowly pulled away. The forest stretched to the horizon. Young creatures played without fear. The sky was peaceful once again. And somewhere in the galaxy, whenever someone suggested hunting humans for sport, an old warning was always repeated. Never mistake kindness for weakness. Because when you hunt a human who protects life, the entire planet will hunt you back. The end.